It will happen in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. What am I talking about? Well, of course, I'm talking about the rapture of the church. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 16 and 17 tells us, "For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with the shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God. And the dead in Christ shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds, to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord." Now, rapture is a term in Christian eschatology which refers to the being caught up discussed in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16, when the dead in Christ and we who are alive and remain will be caught up in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. The term rapture is used in at least two senses. In the pre-tribulation view, a group of people will be left behind on earth after another group literally leaves the planet to meet the Lord in the air. This is now the most common use of the term rapture. The other use of the term rapture is simply as a synonym for the final resurrection, generally without a belief that a group of people is left behind on earth for an extended tribulation period after the event of 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 17. This distinction is important as some types of Christianity never refer to the rapture in religious education, but might use the older and more general sense of the word rapture in referring to what happens during the final resurrection. Now, this particular time period of the year is exciting for a lot of Christians because some Christians, including me, have a viewpoint that the rapture could occur during one of the days of the Feast of Trumpets, which is a Jewish celebration. This year begins on September the 25th and will continue until the two appointed witnesses see the crescent of the new moon. That is when that last trumpet is blown, and that is when it is believed that the rapture will occur. The Feast of Trumpets was one of the 7 main festivals of Israel. It was the first of the fall or harvest festivals. It occurred in the 7th month of the religious calendar on the first day of the month. It is more commonly known today by its alternate name in Hebrew as Rosh Hashanah, which means head of the year. The Feast of Trumpets has this name because it is also the first day of the civil Jewish calendar and marks the start of a new Jewish year that is numbered from the considered time of creation, which is thought to have occurred on Rosh Hashanah in the Garden of Eden. And just as I said earlier, the Feast of Trumpets always occurs at a new moon, usually in the western month of September. The Feast of Trumpets, or Rosh Hashanah, is the first feast in the Jewish New Year since the Feast of Pentecost, or Feast of Weeks called Shavuot in Hebrew, that usually occurs in May. One of the main features of Rosh Hashanah, or the Feast of Trumpets, is the blowing of trumpets, in this case a shofar, or ram's horn. This ram's horn, or shofar, has a very sombre or wailing sound, and is associated with a call to self-examination before God for the previous year and a look ahead to the coming year. This period of self-examination or reflection continues for 10 days until the Day of Atonement, or Yom Kippur. A popular Jewish greeting at the Feast of Trumpets is, "May you be inscribed in the Book of Life." The 7 feasts of the Lord, including the Feast of Trumpets, are to the coming year. The 7 feasts of the Lord, including the Feast of Trumpets, are found in Leviticus chapter 23. The section about the Feast of Trumpets is as follows. "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, and holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord." Leviticus chapter 23, verses 23 through 25. Now, one main reason evangelical Christians associate the Feast of Trumpets with the rapture is that in most of the main New Testament passages about the rapture, the description includes references to a trumpet. Also, evangelical or born-again Christians are aware that the Feast of Trumpets was the first of the harvest festivals and occurred after the summer of growing crops and the fruit, and that it was the first Jewish feast since Pentecost. One additional reason for considering the Feast of Trumpets as the rapture is that a passage in the Gospel of John talks about 4 months until the harvest, and that the present church age is the time of sowing and reaping. The 4 months probably refers to the 4 months between Pentecost or the Feast of Weeks, which was the 3rd month, and the Feast of Trumpets, which was in the 7th month. The passage in the Gospel of John is as follows: Say ye not, there are yet 4 months, and then cometh the harvest? Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes, and look on the fields, for they are white already to harvest. And he that reapeth receiveth wages, and gathereth fruit unto life eternal, that both he that soweth and he that reapeth may rejoice together. John chapter 4, verses 35 and 36. Coincidentally, a few days after the Feast of Trumpets, which is believed to be a time when the rapture may occur, there is a movie coming out called Left Behind on October the 3rd, right after the Feast of Trumpets. And what the movie is about is just as it is titled, Left Behind. It's about those who are left behind after the rapture. So in real life, you have a rapture, and then you have those left behind. This coming up Feast of Trumpets, beginning on September the 25th, you have a possible rapture on one of those upcoming days, and then you have Left Behind movie on October the 3rd. Just a short synopsis of the movie, as if you don't already know what it's about. Left Behind is an apocalyptic action thriller movie starring Nicolas Cage, based on the New York Times best-selling novel that brings biblical prophecy to life in modern times. The most important event in history of mankind is happening right now. In the blink of an eye, the biblical rapture strikes the world. Millions of people disappear without a trace. All that remains are the clothes and belongings, and in an instant, terror and chaos spread around the world. The vanishings cause unmanned vehicles to crash and burn. Planes fall from the sky. Emergency forces everywhere are devastated. Gridlock, riots, and looting overrun the cities. There is no one to help or provide answers. In a moment, the entire planet is plunged into darkness. The Steele family is caught on the razor's edge of that darkness. Ray Steele, an airline pilot, struggles to calm and ultimately to save the lives of the passengers that remain on his flight, as the world below loses its ability to help his plane and any other to safety. Running out of fuel, his equipment failing, his crew escalating into panic, Ray must guide the plane with the help of GWN reporter Cameron Buck Williams, who takes over the role of co-pilot in the face of the crisis. For Buck Williams, being trapped at 30,000 feet with a plane full of terrified passengers means a struggle to understand the incomprehensible. On the ground, Ray's daughter Chloe still struggles to find her young brother and mother, both of whom may have disappeared in the biblical event. Forcing herself through the chaos, Chloe must navigate a world filled with terror and despair. Now that's the synopsis of the movie Left Behind that will be in theaters on October the 3rd. And if the rapture does happen to occur right before this movie comes to theaters on October the 3rd, and you are there to watch the movie, you've obviously been left behind. And watching the movie actually might prove to find out what has happened to so many people